Hello, welcome to Pop Along RC, the RC car channel dedicated to all things RC car racing and helping you guys get on the track so you can race too. Now, in some recent videos, I have been running the Tamiya trucks, and there was a request for setup tips. So I thought, rather than just do the setup tips, I would do a complete ultimate guide to everything you need to know about trucks, from the initial build and running it completely stock out the box to some of the upgrades that we recommend for durability, and obviously some upgrades for performance. Now, most clubs will run this as a stock class, and the rules should be very close to box stock. However, there are other clubs where they like to experiment with the rules and they open it up so that people new to the hobby get to experience upgrading, modifying their cars, and they can enjoy making their cars quicker, because ultimately that's what we all want to do, isn't it? We want it to be faster around the track, we want to be faster whatever we're doing. But with beginners, and when it comes to racing, it's about getting around the track clean, and when it comes to racing, it is about consistency that will probably make you the better racer on the track. So here's the difference between the truck and the touring car. So the truck comes with a truck body. It also comes with truck wheels, so the wheels are a slightly larger diameter, and it also comes with a large square bumper at the front, and also a rear bumper, a plastic bumper at the back of the track. So other than that, pretty much everything else in the kit is identical. The first thing that you need to do when you've built your kit is you will notice that you do not have in it a servo and radio gear. So a servo, I tend to use the e-tronic servos because they're affordable and the performance is really good value. You can get a lot faster, a lot more expensive servos to put in the cars, which will give you quicker response times, but really with the truck you can get away with running a slightly cheaper servo. The next thing that you're going to need is radio gear. Now over here we have got a Spectrum radio. This is it's my main race radio currently. There is a video on all our transmitters already on the channel, but something like this might cost you between £200 and £300 for a decent radio, which for many of you just getting into the hobby is out of your budget. However, over here we have this radio, which, do you know what, at the moment, if you can still get it at the cheap price, Rlaarlo will sending this one out for about £31, which is amazing. So this here is the Rlaarlo radio. Really good value, and this is what I've actually currently got in my race truck. Again, details in the description down below for that. So this here is a stock shell, as I mentioned as well. When you are driving these cars, you're gonna crash and you're gonna break, and unfortunately it is the shell that takes most of the abuse. Now this shell here to replace, I'm thinking, when I looked last, it was over £50 just for the shell, whereas over here I'm running a Montec shell. Now there's two benefits to the Montec shells. The first one is the price works out close to £30, whereas these ones are 50, and obviously this one as well is slightly lower profile, and therefore it should be racier. Performance wise for me on the track, I've not noticed a great deal of difference between the two, because the way that where I've run these, the club rules, the cars don't really go fast enough to make a massive difference. These shells, again, they're cheaper, they're easier to replace. They do have a rear wing on, which could or should help with rear grip, but as I say, I've not noticed a massive difference between these two shells from my experience of racing. So recently I have been running these trucks. I've run them at a couple of clubs. Now, at a recent competition, there were 16 trucks racing, and I managed to qualify second. In the end, in the finals, I dropped down to third. But do you know what? That tells me that my truck wasn't doing too bad at all. So I'm running these trucks with a Core 21 motor. Now, the Core 21 motor is quite similar in performance to the torque tune motor that comes in the box. However, Again, it's a little bit cheaper to replace. It also has a built-in fan, so it stays cooler and lasts a little bit longer. So therefore, for price and money, I tend to go with the Core 21 as opposed to the torque tune motor. Now, at the competition that I mentioned earlier on, I was running Core 21 motor in this, whereas the guy who, I think he came second overall in the end, he was running 21 and a half turn brushless setups. He's running the just stock because the club that we were visiting now allows 21 and a half turn brushless setup in their truck class, whereas most of the other clubs that I visit stick with torque tuned and Core 21. So the Core 21 in this was competitive and it was up there with some brushless trucks. When we get to racing, what you need to be mindful of is things are going to break, okay? It is part of racing, it's part of the hobby. Things are going to break and you're going to have to fix them. So with these trucks, they come with these. These are the wheels that you get in the kit. Now, if you turn them round and have a look on the back there, you can see that the insert for the hex on the wheel is very, very small. Whereas on these wheels, it's got a slightly thicker hex, which means it's less prone to breakage. So run it stock, run it with the stock wheels. However, when they crack, when they break from crashing, which we're all going to do at some stage, I recommend first upgrade is getting some of these. And these are actually Tamiya Mini M chassis race wheels. They're just a little bit harder and they've got a slightly bigger hex there, so they're less prone to breakage. But the wheels fit on nice and simple. So first upgrade I would go for durability is the hubs that you're running on the wheels. While we're talking about wheels as well, what we also do is, on this one you might be able to see the glare there, we have put super glue on the sidewalls. What that does is it gives it a little bit more stability. You can also run the glue up over, just over the edge of the tyre, and what that will do is it will help the truck with grip roll. So as the grip comes up in a competition, because they're such high bodies, they like to tip over. So if you imagine this is the tyre, the truck starts to tip, and what it does, it touches on the super glue, which has got no grip, which slides out and the tyre drops back down. So that's why we will apply a little bit of super glue just around that top edge. Now there's two ways of doing it. I tend to run it smoothly around and just slowly work it up to the edge. Other people will actually apply dots of super glue around the outside of the tyre to give you that same effect for minimising grip roll, or traction roll as I should say, but I call it grip roll. Anyway, so in the stock kit you will get friction dampers on these. They're the shop. The next upgrade, now this one is more about performance, would be a set of Yeah Racing oil-filled shocks. Now you could get the TRF shocks. They work out a lot more expensive. These ones are our go-to. You do get different springs in this set, so you can set the springs according to how you want the truck to handle. So if we want to get down to the nitty-gritty and the performance of this truck here, let's have a little look under the shell and I'll talk you through what I've done. As I say, we've got the Montec shell, which in the right hands will add a little bit of performance. So we've got our Tamiya truck tyres on our M chassis wheels there. We have got our Yeah Racing oil-filled shocks. So as you can see here, I've got my touring car next to my truck. Now, when it comes to shock setup, I've got these set up exactly the same. I've gone a little bit firmer at the rear, slightly softer at the front. For both of these chassis, a couple of upgrades that I've made from the original kit. And again, this is part performance, part durability. So the first thing is the alley prop shaft that runs down the centre instead of a plastic one that comes with the kit. The next one we've got here are the adjustable turnbuckles, which we have got. Again, that allows you to just change your toe in, toe out on the cars. With gearing, depends really on the track for this one. If you're running indoors on the tracks that you can see in this video, a 24 58 works really well. If you're out on a big track like West London, where I have actually run this truck but I've not got any footage of it, I've run something nearer to a 25-55 gearing. Again, some of the stock clubs will run the stock gearing, which is in this one, and that is a 61 tooth spur gear. So with the TT01 chassis, you've only got the three options. You've got 61, a 58 or a 55 for your spur gear. They're your gearing options. So all of my Tamiya cars, I will, where possible, fit a fan in them just to keep the motor cool. We've got our ESCs and receivers in there. Both of these cars are running with the Hobbywing 1060. There is a Hobbywing 1080 that should give you a little bit more punch and a little bit more sort of adjustments and a little bit more output. So that is a worthy upgrade. However, again, I've stuck with pretty much the kit ESCs there. So ride height wise, I set the touring car up pretty much at 5mm all the way around. That's as low as it goes. With the truck, again, I'm trying to get it as low as possible. What some people do when they're building up their shocks, what they'll do is they'll place an O-ring underneath the top of the piston, which stops it coming out, and that'll just lower the car a little bit more than when you're running with the top shocks. And again, that's to compensate for the fact that the tyres are a little bit bigger. So weight wise, when I first started running these trucks, I used to have weight over the back of the car. I used to have weight inside the chassis. But recently I've got rid of all of that and I'm running it without any weight. And do you know what? It's absolutely fine. I'm not having the issue with the grip roll. Again, that's because I've got the super glue on my tyres to stop it grip rolling. If I did put extra weight in, it might make the truck a little bit more planted. I've seen people adding weight under here on the wishbones. Again, that'll get the weight really low down in the truck. But on the tracks that I've been running on, I've not felt the need to do that. If I go to a venue and everyone's doing that and I'm getting absolutely smoked by people, then obviously I will look into making those changes. But they're not changes that I would recommend at this stage. So that's it really. There's not a lot to the Tamiya truck, and that's why I think personally it is a fantastic class and something that I really enjoy, and I would encourage you to get involved with. If you have got any questions, if there's anything I've missed out, please put it down in the comments down below and I'll do my best to answer it. I could always do a follow-up video because I will be running these trucks a lot more in 2024.